Welcome to the longest karting circuit in Europe for round one of the British Minibikes Championship, featuring the all-new FIM Junior World Series for both Mini GP and Mini Moto bikes, with riders from 6 years of age. It's all as part of the official Road to Moto GP series, and earlier I spoke to the riders at the sharp end of the grid for the first race featured in this programme. Henry, pole position for what could be considered the premier class this weekend on the Road to Moto GP in the 190 class. Were you expecting pole?
Yeah, I was going into this weekend feeling pretty confident. I wasn't really expecting pole as it was my first time around this track, but I've seemed to have learned it quite well.
So where have you come from then today? Where do you live?
We've come from down south near Kent.
Right, so that's a long journey for you. How long has it taken you to get here?
It took about 4.5 hours. Yeah, so it's a long drive.
With all the traffic, so you'd be hoping to take the win and the trophy home?
Yeah, hopefully.
Okay, well, good luck.
Thank you.
P2, are you happy with that for this weekend?
Yeah, I'm very glad with the position. It's helped me a lot just to stay at the front.
But can you go from P2 to the lead? I guess that's going to be the big thing, isn't it, this weekend? Can you do that?
Yeah, I'm going to try and get pole shot into the start and try and stay at front.
Marco, P3 today in the first round qualifying. It's a pretty good result, I guess. Is that what you expected, or were you hoping for better?
Yeah, obviously we always aim for the top really, but P3 is not where we really would have wanted to be, but we can work for tomorrow and see how we get on.
Okay, well, good luck.
Thank you very much.
Let's kick off then with race one of Mini GP UK 190. Jake Sanson and Alan TDi in the commentary box. Henry McCartney and Blake Wilson on the front row from Marco Holt and Arnie Carr. Then Jensen Bishop alongside Annabelle McCarthy. Sid Marshall and Izzy Carter on row 4. And rounding out the top 10, it is Oliver Pitcher and Wilson Dilks. 11th on the grid, it is a living legend, Peter Hickman. Yes, it really is that Peter Hickman. Tim Patterson alongside David Wilton, John Pitcher, Rupert White and Michael Nealons rounding out the field. What an opportunity this is for the Mini GP riders to go up against the king of the Isle of Man TT at this moment in time in the UK. It's absolutely awesome. Off we go. The Ohvales make their way to the first corner, and it's Blake Wilson who's got a better launch than Henry McCartney. So off they go, out through Paddock Bend and up to Rib. There are the non-Ohvales getting away, led off by Wilson Dilks. 9 competitors in the Ohvale category. Everybody else is in the open category, run by BMB, which is open to all manufacturers. It's not part of the FIM Mini GP 190 series. McCartney, Wilson and Holt having a terrific challenge. Wilson, though, in the lead in front of McCartney and Holt. And Arnie Carr having started 4th position. Tell you what, though, Annabelle McCarthy is really trying to stretch her legs here to try and work her way into the top 5. Hasn't quite been able to get the jump on Jensen Bishop yet, but up the inside. Goodness me, Henry McCartney getting hungry already on Blake Wilson.
Yeah, Henry McCartney, the pole man, but he's lost the lead temporarily. For how long, we'll have to see, but it's Wilson that leads it from McCartney, and then Marco Holt in 3rd place there. In 4th, you can make out Arnie Carr. The 3 leaders were the 3 people we interviewed, or I interviewed earlier on. The first interviews of the season. They certainly will not be the last.
Yeah, you wouldn't think these young lads were, anywhere between 12 and up, would you? They sounded very professional there, I have to say. There's Arnie Carr just trying to keep up with the leading trio, and they are so close together. Wilson, McCartney and Holt. There's nothing between them. Here comes Holt trying to get up the inside. McCartney takes the wider trajectory through Rib, and as they come up towards reverse corkscrew, this is going to be so close between the leading 3 riders. And again, they charge their way through to the right-hander, out of the hairpin. McCartney trying to get better purchase on the throttle on Blake Wilson, but it's Wilson, McCartney, Holt all the way down the Bob Pope straight and up towards Wiggles. They're going to continue to work their way forward. This is where things are going to get very delicate. You've got to be so patient in this tight and twisty section through these hairpins. McCartney trying to get a better, wider trajectory off the throttle to get back past Blake Wilson on the far side. But Wilson is holding his bike in exactly the right places as they go through South Bank.
Through South Bank, down to hairpin 3. McCartney up the inside, and McCartney, has he got it? He has. Lead back for Henry McCartney. But for how long, the others are looking extremely spicy.
Absolutely textbook. He thread the eye of the needle so delicately there, and there wasn't really a lot that Blake Wilson could do in response. If he tried anything particularly major there, that would have ended up in a collision. So they managed just about to stay out of harm's way. Here comes Holt trying to make his move on Blake Wilson now. That's the second lap in a row. He's had a think about it into rib. As there's a slower rider down at the back there, unfortunately.
Might be Pete Hickman, that, Jake. Might be.
Yeah, could well be. I know that Pete is here for laughs and a bit of a gaggle, but he's not really going to be challenging for the victory, but he's certainly here to support and motivate these fantastic young riders who are clearly going to be trying to take some of his Isle of Man TT records off him in the future.
No doubt his Isle of Man TT record at 135 mile an hour plus in 2018. That's the average speed, by the way, taking into account all the slow corners on the circuit. And if you're watching the Isle of Man TT in North America and thinking this looks a bit crazy, you're right, those guys are made of nails.
Yes, they are, but they are absolute warriors too. Wilson has another think about McCartney, can't get there. Good trajectory though from Marco Holt. He just got cut off there by the rear wheel of Wilson's bike. He's now going to try and go the long way round in the hope that he can get something done here out of the dogleg and into the D chicane. He just can't quite get it sorted out as they come up to rib once again out of paddock. And yet more problems for Blake Wilson because he's got to go offensive and defensive in exactly the same breath. Because he's got to challenge Henry McCartney for the lead back again, but he doesn't want to go too hungry on it because Marco Holt, as you can see, is swarming around all over him like an angry wasp at a picnic.
These three well clear of Arnie Carr. They're in fourth place. Jensen Bishop was in fifth, but Wilson Dilks, Jake, who started on the split grid, he's already up to fifth place overall.
Yeah, that's really impressive considering he was the leading contender in the previous category. Now he's absolutely charging forward. Izzy Carter, by the way, has got up into the top 10 overall as well, so good work, but it's Tim Patterson that has worked his way into that top 10 just in behind Sid Marshall. How close is it still between our fantastic trio, McCartney, Wilson and Marco Holt. Marco wanting to try and get the move here on Blake. Come off the hairpins, up through the dogleg and up towards the D, but still no opportunity, no room at the end. This is great defensive work from Blake Wilson. A bit further into the race, and you can see that Marco Holt is really going to try and challenge. 2 laps to go, up on the inside, diving, he's running out of chances, and that's why he's taking no prisoners up against Blake Wilson. This time he was a little bit further alongside, coming up to the reverse corkscrew, but still no room at the end, still no space given.
Wilson Dilks started P10 from the split grid. He's up to fourth place. That's incredible. What a performance. And he is now the fastest man on the track in fourth.
Yeah, he's gone half a second quicker than Henry McCartney has, so that's absolutely astonishing. Now the leaders are going through traffic. This is going to be quite tricky. You've got to be so careful how you pitch the bike in, where you position. You don't want to catch the fairing as you go through, whilst still having this major war with your fellow rider. This is a really great battle, and it's gone all the way to the death. Here comes Marco Holt up the inside. At last he gets the move he's been waiting for. Into second position, up the inside of hairpin 3, coming off hairpin 4. He now wants to have one last crack at going after Henry McCartney, and he's just got time.
Last lap. This has been a great race all the way through. They've got one to go now. Can Marco Holt turn third into first? He's having a look down the inside.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Oh, he's got it.
That's absolutely amazing, but is he going to run wide on the exit? Here comes McCartney back again to the inside. He puts a leg down just to thwart the potential onslaught from McCartney, and Marco Holt zips his way through on the inside line. He's gone from third to first in less than a lap. Absolutely perfect timing from Marco Holt, and now there's not going to be a lot of opportunities for either Henry McCartney or Blake Wilson to come back at him. They've still got traffic to negotiate, so they've got to be careful. Timing is everything. Holt gets a little bit held up, but manages to come through round the far side. McCartney has got a better run off the turn than Blake Wilson has. Blake Wilson can only watch this unfold, but what will Henry McCartney be able to do out through South Bank? He gets a little squeeze of the throttle once again, but this is beautiful defensemanship from Marco Holt. He holds the middle of the road, up the inside, one more time from McCartney, almost clatters into his rear wheel, but this is beautifully judged from Marco Holt. Surely he's not going to be beaten now as he comes through. Marco Holt has snatched the victory on the final lap. Brilliant work from Marco Holt by just a single tenth of a second ahead of Henry McCartney and Blake Wilson. What a way to start the 2024 campaign. Here's your result for race 1. Holt from McCartney and Wilson. Wilson Dilks, great charge through from the second grid up to 4th. Then Arnie Carr, Jensen Bishop and Annabelle McCarthy. Tim Patterson doing well in 8th place, with Sid Marshall ahead of Izzy Carter, who rounds out the top 10. Amazing stuff. Welcome back to Teesside Autodrome. Race 2 is coming up straight away, and the pole sitter is the man who set the fastest lap in race 1. That's how they judge the grids of race 2. It's fastest laps, not finishing positions. Marco Holt and Blake Wilson on the front row of the grid. Henry McCartney and Arnie Carr on the second, then Jensen Bishop and Annabelle McCarthy. Then it is Sid Marshall and Izzy Carter. Oliver Pitcher, P9. Wilson Dilks is once again the leading rider in the non-Ohvale category. In 11th position alongside is Tim Patterson with David Wilton, then John Pitcher and Rupert White. And Peter Hickman will have to start from the back of the grid alongside Michael Nealons, but he'll just have a huge laugh as he rides around. So the man on pole position, Marco Holt, carrying the same number as his namesake, Marco Simoncelli. Off we go, charging up through to the first port of the corner, that is Paddock Bend. And it's a perfectly clean start as everybody gets through A-OK. No problems at all up to Rib Bend. Henry McCartney is not going to waste any time trying to get into the lead. Absolutely terrific as he already tries to make a bid for Blake Wilson's lead. Jensen Bishop working his way through into the top 5, but it's Blake Wilson who leads the race from the front row of the grid, and yet again Marco Holt finds himself down in 3rd. This is exactly what happened in race 1. So Blake Wilson leads the way from Henry McCartney, with Marco Holt giving chase, but we've seen that script in race 1. We already know how it ends. Is it going to be any different in race 2?
Yeah, Jensen spelt E-N, Jake, rather than the more typical these days O-N of Jensen Button, and that is of course because he is named after the Jensen Interceptor, I am sure. The car that used to break down a lot, but when you broke down in it on the A1, you were standing alongside it, you still looked cool.
No, I reckon it was after Kid Jensen, the DJ. Almost certainly one of the two of them anyway. Blake Wilson leads the way. Henry McCartney second. Marco Holt just biding his time, giving chase and in exactly the right position, just reading what his two rivals are doing and keeping himself in the hunt. Then it is Arnie Carr ahead of Jensen Bishop. Still there in P5, not a bad run so far from Annabelle McCarthy. Still keeping very static there in 6th position ahead of Marshall and Carter. Wilson Dilks and Peter Hickman are having a bit of a nice time of it as Wilson Dilks charges his way through. It looks like he's carrying an Isle of Man TT legend along for the ride.
Absolutely. Izzy Carter, by the way, in 8th place. Many of you watching at home may know Izzy. She's got 100,000 of you following her on her Instagram page, so have a look. She's known as the Mini Rossi.
I tell you what, it's not going to be that long until we see a female motorcycle racer at the top end of the grids in all categories. World Superbikes, MotoGP, the Isle of Man TT. It's just a case of getting them through this process. They are coming very thick and fast. Plenty of great talents charging their way through these lower divisional categories. It will not be long until they're going to be household names in all the bike-loving households of the world. Here comes the move again from Henry McCartney through hairpin 4, can't get it done, through the dogleg, and still Blake Wilson holds firm in the lead of this race. Holding himself through to the D again. A little bit of curb, you don't want to use too much in these bikes because it will spit you off quickly. The Swindon lass, Annabelle McCarthy, still running very strongly there in the top 6, having a good run. Amongst the 3 leaders though, the fastest rider is actually Marco Holt. He's a whisker of a couple of tenths quicker than the race leader. So again, Marco Holt is just biding his time. He knows how to do this from 3rd position. You don't need to lead every lap. The only lap you need to lead is the last one.
Yeah, he's been here before, hasn't he? Like race 1, for example, he was in 3rd for most of that. Started this one in pole, of course, so dropped back to 3rd here, but he won't be happy with that.
Just watching the likes of Wilton, the pictures, John and Oliver and Rupert White going through. They're still having their own race. It's not just about the leading riders, of course. You've got to take into account that there are plenty of other riders in this race and they're still all working their magic. Pete Hickman's having a brilliant charge through, just hustling Wilson Dilks and keeping with him all the way through. As Dilks goes through the field, so does Peter Hickman, and these two are going through the field like cats out of a wet paper bag. They're just charging their way through and doing an amazing job of it. Meanwhile, no change up front other than to say that Henry McCartney is still struggling to get past Blake Wilson and shake off Marco Holt. This is an absolute stalemate.
It's an absolute stormer of a race like it was in race 1. Here's the battle coming through. That looks like Carr and Bishop.
It is indeed, and it's not going to be too long before Dilks and Hickman are on the scene. They are absolutely tearing around this track. They're going nearly 2 seconds a lap quicker than anybody else around them except the 3 leaders. And the 3 leaders, actually, Wilson, McCartney and Holt, were separated by a few hundredths of a second, apart from Marco Holt, who was able to just get a little bit more purchase on the last lap. Here are Carr and Bishop, and they are absolutely nothing between them. They were similar to each other to the lap time, to the 100th of a second. There was only 100th between the 2 riders on that last lap. So either one of them makes a mistake now, it's the other that's going to pick up the benefit. Meanwhile, McCartney is all over Blake Wilson. Can he try again here? Hairpin 3. He's going to have to come from a long way back, trying to get the inside line. Perfect positioning, though, from Blake Wilson. He knows exactly where to put that bike.
Those of you watching might think, what's Peter Hickman, the Isleman TT record holder, doing in a race with kids in it, with kids as young as 12? Well, frankly, he's there to give some guidance. He's here this weekend as a great supporter of kids racing, and he wants to give them something to aim for. Basically, he's got a target on his back, and if you're wondering, well, why is he so much slower than these lads out front? Well, he has got a weight disadvantage. These lads are a lot smaller than him. They don't weigh as much, so Peter at a bit of a disadvantage despite his great talents.
Yeah, weight is everything in bike racing, of course. You have to be quite even with each other in order to get the most out of the package, and it's very important to take that into consideration. But yeah, absolutely, by giving himself a deliberate weight advantage, Peter Hickman's essentially saying to the kids, come on and have a go. This is where you improve your racecraft. This is what we're going to work towards as a team, as a unit. And it's great to see just how much support he gives. Right, this is Wilton versus Pitcher, still having a very tidy race of their own further down the field. We've said this time and time again. It doesn't matter that you're not racing at the front of the field. You're going to get better and better as you progress, and you've got to win the battle that you're in, because it will definitely help next time.
Yeah, you always got to come out on top of your little battle, and in championships like this, there's no club racing, of course, so a lot of the difference between the riders will be inexperience. So a lot of inexperienced riders in amongst experienced riders, so the times can be significantly different.
Wilson, McCartney, Holt still battling with each other for the victory. Less than half a second between the 3 riders up front. Dilks, Bishop, then Hickman and Arnie Carr. So Wilson Dilks has now worked his way to 4th position past Jensen Bishop. It's not going to be too long until Peter Hickman has a look. And they are still lapping rapidly quicker than the riders around them. Although Peter Hickman did have a bad lap that time around, probably dealing with traffic to try and work his way through. But Wilson, McCartney and Holt, nothing at all between the 3 riders, and they're still absolutely on an even keel at the moment. Trying to work through, that is Wilson Dilks, having pushed the way through to 4th position, having an absolutely magnificent ride, considering he's not in the Ohvale class either. He is in the open category and doing a fantastic job there on the 85 bike, working his way through. Here we go, back to the overall victory, and this is the last lap they're going into now. 1:11.10 from Henry McCartney, pulling out that little bit extra on Blake Wilson. Is he going to do the same move that Holt did on him in the previous race? He can't make it stick. So Blake Wilson holds on to the lead for the moment. This time, Marco Holt has left his killer moves, perhaps a little bit too late for the win, could still pull something out of the bag for 2nd place, but Blake Wilson is adamant. This time, it's going to be me that takes the victory. Down the bob pipe straight, up towards Wiggles, and into the first of the 2 hairpins they will come, through to the left-hander. Hold the inside line. Blake Wilson absolutely glued to the white lines. Into the right. McCartney trying to go slow in, fast out, looking very smooth, but he catches a little bit of curb. That might unsettle the balance a little. Through to South Bank. Hold the throttle. Be brave. Try and keep a good balance. Up towards hairpin 3. Is this going to be enough? Not quite. He has to wait for another opportunity into hairpin 4. Can he cannon to the inside? He had a go, but he can't quite get there. Oh, he's absolutely lost it. He manages to hold himself on the bike, but he's lost 2nd place. Blake Wilson will get the victory. Marco Holt in 2nd. Henry McCartney threw caution to the winds. Let's see what happened. He almost gets a complete tank slapper. Let's watch. He gets on the throttle. He's desperately trying to out-accelerate Blake Wilson. It goes wrong. He almost loses the position on the bike, and actually, so too nearly did Marco Holt in his surprise. So a fabulous victory then for Blake Wilson, who manages to hold off all the pressure from Henry McCartney. He'll be absolutely devastated. Not only does he lose the win, he has actually cost himself 2nd place as well to Marco Holt. But Wilson Dilks in P4, Jensen Bishop in a solid P5, ahead of the Isle of Man TT legend Peter Hickman. Arnie Carr, Annabelle McCarthy, Tim Patterson and Sid Marshall rounding up the top 10, just in front of Izzy Carter.
Well, as the dads come out to help with the grid for the Minimoto rookie class featuring riders as young as 6 years of age, while the grid positions are on screen, here are a few comments from the riders in P2 and P3 after qualifying. Emilio, P2 in qualifying. Has it been a good weekend for you so far?
Yeah, I enjoyed it.
And Teesside, have you been here before? What do you think of the circuit?
It's a really good circuit and I've had a few crashes on it.
From P2, what are you hoping for from the weekend? What would be a good result for you this weekend?
Just some podiums.
Have you been to Teesside before and how would you describe the track?
I've never been here before and it's a really good track. I've had a few crashes.
Not sure why crashing seems to be a positive thing for the young kids, but anyway, we're on the way and running. This is the Minimoto rookie class for riders as young as 6 years of age. It is Nellie Newth on pole. She didn't want to do an interview, but she can ride really quickly, Jake.
Well, there's plenty of time to get good at talking to television journalists, but being fast on the bike, that's what really counts. So Nellie Newth out in first position, having taken an early lead. Certainly got the confidence with the bike. A big launch up the inside for third position. Now that looks to me like Pereira and Dilks getting very close to each other. But out in front, Nellie Newth has got the confidence to sail through South Bank with plenty of time on her hands. And she is doing a great job here in front of Saxelby, who is just keeping it nice and handy. Having started P3, a good launch from Reed Saxelby, so already trying to go for the lead. But you've got to remember, on these mini-motos, you've got much thinner tyres, much shorter wheelbase. Hitting those wet patches is going to be much tougher for these youngsters to control. They've just got to be patient when they're out there battling away for the victory. Newth, Saxelby, Tommy Keats has actually come through with that huge banzai move on Pereira to get into third position. Then Dilks, Stiles, Abasic and Randy Carter.
5 brake horsepower, these bikes, in case you're wondering. These kids as young as 6, they will do something like 40 mile an hour, I would suspect, on a big straight. So they're pretty quick, these bikes, for 6-year-olds.
Yeah, 5 horsepower doesn't sound much, but when your bike weighs about 3 bags of sugar, it is absolutely ridiculous how quick these things can pedal. Brilliant stuff. Nellie Newth just hanging on here from Reed Saxelby. Half a second between them, and they've pulled well clear of Keats and Pereira. So Emilio Pereira now trying to get back that third position from Tommy Keats in through the hairpins. Well planted. Nellie Newth is just keeping this so smooth as she runs out of each hairpin. And that's the thing. On these mini-motos, balance is so difficult to achieve when you're on the limit. If you're just casual about it, then balance is no problem. But when you're pushing that bike and stretching what it can do, getting the balance right is such a fine art. And Newth just looks so planted, so smooth through these apexes.
Yeah, fastest lap as well for Nellie Newth. And I can tell you, round 1, race 1 of the season, her dad is going to have his heart in his mouth at the moment. She's got a decent lead, he knows it, and she's stretching her legs here, getting away. He's just hoping, don't fall off.
Yeah.
Don't fall off.
Well, half a second to 0.7 of a second quicker per lap than any of the other riders around her. This is a perfect way to start the season. Meanwhile, there's some good battles further back as Tommy Keats has pulled clear of Pereira, but Austin Dilks is trying to move further forward, so this could get interesting. Side by side for third, Tommy Keats and Emilio Pereira. And that's Pereira chopping across on Tommy Keats and trying to go right round the outside. Oh, they've clattered into each other, and Tommy Keats is the one who goes down. So unfortunate for Tommy Keats. It's just a racing incident between the two riders there. Just the slightest love tap of fairings, and it just unsettles the bike completely. Stiles, by the way, managed to get through on Dilks in the same moment. We were so busy watching Keats and Pereira. Look at Pereira round the outside. He's got acceleration. Keats doesn't realise. Down he goes and out of this race. But now we know he's going to be a real threat for race 2. Battles all the way down this field. We've got Henry Cooper from Strood in Gloucestershire trying to take on Maxwell Keats. And we're seeing Finley Stiles working his way up towards P4 thanks to the incident earlier on between Pereira and Keats. He was the real beneficiary. But Austin Dilks, the young man from Mansfield, still there, having a very tough race of it for P5. Abasic and Keats are having a great race for 6th position. Then comes Cooper, then Randy Carter, then Charlie Bunn. The battle for the lead is actually taking a bit of a turn of events here because Reed Saxelby has dropped behind Emilio Pereira a bit further round the lap. We've now got a duel between Adasic and Max Keats, who are battling away for P6. So it's all starting to take shape in the latter stages of this race. Pereira now P2 ahead of Saxelby, and it could be Keats going for P6 here on Adasic because it's getting very heated between these two riders. It just shows you, you've got to keep the pace up all the way through. Look at Nelly Newth, who has just charged away now from Pereira and Saxelby. Here they come, running in second and third. So Pereira has managed to get the better of Saxelby just by stamina. He's just been able to keep himself in that hunt, getting hungry over the course of the race. And that's going to be Keats on the inside of Adasic. He's got him. So that's very well committed through South Bank. That's a hard move to make. And as they come through the hairpins, that is Max Keats now in front of Joey Adasic as they duel away for P6. Great racecraft between these two. Adasic doesn't look particularly phased by the move. If anything, he looks more motivated to take it back again from Max Keats. So he's going to swarm around through the D. Oh, and that's Randy Carter. That's so unfortunate. The worst timing ever on the final lap to get the job done, though. Up front, it is Nelly Newth. She takes the victory at an absolute canter to Emilio Pereira in second position. Reed Saxelby coming home in third place, having just put the lap on Freddie Taylor. But it's a fabulous win out front by Nelly Newth. Nearly 7 seconds clear of Emilio Pereira, who did a great job there to catch and hustle Reed Saxelby, who storms through for a very solid podium. Then Finley Stiles from Austin Dilks, Max Keats and Joey Adasic, then Henry Cooper, Charlie Bunn and Freddie Taylor to round out the top 10. Here we go for race 2, and it's the fastest laps from the previous race, of course, that set the grid for race 2. Nelly Newth and Reed Saxelby on the front row, Emilio Pereira and Tommy Keats, then Finley Stiles and Austin Dilks from Maxwell Keats and Joey Adasic. Henry Cooper is alongside Charlie Bunn to round out the top 10, but it's still going to be competitive all the way down to the tail end. Randy Carter and Freddie Taylor, along with Oscar Rowland and Jensen Brown. Can Nelly Newth make it 2 wins out of 2? She's going to be hard pressed with a lot of pressure in the second race coming from Saxelby and no doubt from Pereira as well. Off we go. And it's a perfectly clean start. Can Nelly Newth beat Reed Saxelby to the first corner? No, Saxelby's got a better start. So Saxelby has got through the hairpin out in front. Absolutely brilliantly done. They're using the shorter configuration, of course, of this circuit for the Minimotos. They're not quite old enough to go through paddock, rib and reverse corkscrew, so they use the shorter configuration. But Saxelby definitely out in front of Nelly Newth, who's now going to have a completely different mission on her hands. In race 1, it was pull away and stay there. This time, she's going to have to fight for it.
Yeah, Saxelby leads. That was a great start by Reed. We know he's pretty quick overall, but that was a big win for Nelly Newth in the first race by 6.8 seconds. Reed's going to have to find something here if he's going to hold her off, but at the moment he's doing the job.
Well, the psychological upper hand in your mind as a racer of getting into the lead first, that can be a real confidence booster and it can really push you forward. But the psychological difficulty of losing the lead at the start, that can actually set your confidence back a bit. You've got to do the hard work. Tommy Keats has gone down. Oh dear, that's the second race in a row that Tommy Keats has been the one to fall, and this time it's as early as the first lap. So unfortunate. He really would have been a factor in this one. And up the inside of Nelly Newth, that's Emilio Pereira. So Nelly Newth has lost it out this time. So Pereira gets through into second place. This is what I was saying. If you've got that psychological upper hand of leading early, you can pull away. But here comes Nelly Newth, trying to get back in a second position again on Pereira into South Bank. Job done. You're not having this move.
But just look at how far the leader has pulled away with those two battling. It just shows you people battle and the leader can get away in front. But Nelly Newth already closing him down again.
Yeah, that overtaking move has been the galvanisation for Nelly Newth. I know I can do this. I've already won race 1. I was so quick off the turn away from Emilio Pereira, and I'm eating up the road to Reed Saxelby. This is where Nelly Newth is going to have the monstrous confidence that we know a race winner to have. But she's being patient. This is smart from Nelly Newth. Just waiting behind Reed Saxelby. Emilio Pereira's loving it in third. He fancies his chances of taking the lead off both riders. Here he goes, back down the inside of Newth. No, you don't, says Nelly. Not on your Nelly. Through to the hairpin, and Reed Saxelby still leads the way. Nelly's got a much more confident stance off the turn. She was a little bit earlier on the throttle as well. Is this going to be enough? No, Reed Saxelby holds it, but right round the outside of South Bank. Can Nelly Newth get back to the inside line? I think she's actually going to go slow in, fast out. This is going to be much more controlled through the hairpins. All the pressure's on Saxelby now, isn't it?
The fastest man on the track is Emilio Pereira. He set that on the last lap though. I'm expecting he's going to lose that fastest lap here because he's dropped back just a fraction. But he was fastest last time. Let's see who is fastest this time. And it is indeed Finley Styles, Jake. Finley Styles in fourth. Yeah, fastest man on the track.
He's absolutely catching the top three. Very fast indeed. So this could actually be a quartet battling for the victory rather than a trio. Dilks still in P5. A little further up. Reed Saxelby still ahead of Nelly Newth. Emilio Pereira, third position. Finley Styles. Austin Dilks having worked his way back to fifth, then Adasic, Max Keats, Henry Cooper, Charlie Bunn and Randy Carter, then Taylor, Brown, Rowland, and obviously we lost Tommy Keats on the first lap as he went down. Oscar Rowland is still having a great run. He's managed to get past Jensen Brown. Finley Styles, however, has caught and passed Emilio Pereira. So now Finley Styles is in this race to go for the victory. Look at this. This quartet has ended up changing into a couple of pairs. So now Finley Styles in third position has the confidence on Emilio Pereira to run in third position. But Nelly Newth still hustling Reed Saxelby back down the inside. Can Pereira get through on Finley Styles? Very close racing between these two. They are still absolutely swapping positions every time they come through. This isn't over yet. Nelly Newth is now right on the rear wheel of Reed Saxelby. There's Charlie Bunn having a good race of it behind Henry Cooper and ahead of Randy Carter and Freddie Taylor as we have sadly lost Joey Adasic from the race. He has retired, but the leaders are coming through the traffic. This is going to be critical for Nelly Newth. Keep your wits about you. You might just get the lead here.
6 laps gone. Just the back end of the race to go. I'm not sure what Reed Saxelby has done to his bike, Jake, but his dad's clearly made a setup change, I would say, because you don't go from being 6.8 seconds behind to leading the race, and Nelly Newth now struggling to stay with him.
Yeah, Reed Saxelby and his dad have definitely done some good homework between races. Nelly Newth is really struggling to take this lead back. Hairpin 1, then into hairpin 2. Just wait, get a decent run off the hairpin. That's really fast from both riders. It's going to be hard to tell who's going to have the best run. Nelly Newth trying to get right up alongside. Has to bail out of it through South Bank, but she's still got decent momentum. Up towards hairpin 3. Wait for it, don't rush in. It's a very tricky moment to try and pitch where the bike is going to go, where you're going to squeak that throttle off the turn. A little bit of a wobble there from Saxelby. This might be a chance now from Nelly Newth, really starting to put the race leader under pressure. 8 laps done, definitely getting into the business end of this race now, and Finley Styles has caught them up. Look at that, he's suddenly deleted the gap between himself and Nelly Newth, and there are 3 riders going for this race win.
Yeah, Finley Styles in the mix here through the Wiggles. That's one of the best corner names I think I've ever heard. Into 4 really poor corner names. Hairpin 1, 2, 3 and 4. Got to come up with something better than that at Teesside.
Yeah, there's plenty of racers that have come out of this part of the world you could name that after.
Exactly.
So through to the hairpin at South Bank. Saxelby, Newth and Styles. Styles is actually looking like the hungriest of all 3 of them. His last lap was over half a second quicker than both riders in front. So Finley Styles is eating up this road like scissors through wet newspaper, absolutely charging his way towards the 2 up front. And as they finish lap 9, Saxelby, Newth and Styles, and you could throw a blanket over all 3 riders.
Last lap as they go through the line. So this is anybody's, if you think in this first race, just shows you how things can change. Newth was 6.8 seconds clear by the flag. She's not going to be clear now. She may not even win it.
Momentum is everything in this sport, particularly when you're at such a young age. So this is a very tough race now for Nelly Newth. Can she take back the authority in this Minimoto rookies field? And actually, Emilio Pereira in 4th place is not a million miles away from these 3. If anything were to cook in on this last lap, he is in the box seat. He can get something, potentially some silverware. Here comes Nelly Newth. A very strong run out of South Bank. Can she dive in on the inside of Saxelby? Through hairpin 3. Has to think better of it. Maybe a chance through hairpin 4. Has got to get a faster run off the turn now. If she's going to win this race, she's got to get earlier on the throttle. Not early enough. Reed Saxelby's going to get it. It's a win apiece for Saxelby and Newth. Brilliant stuff. Great racing to start the season in Minimoto rookies, and a great ride from Finley Styles in third position as well to hustle them home. That was a fantastic race. Reed Saxelby, the deserving winner, Nelly Newth in a fine second, Finley Styles an audacious third, with Emilio Pereira just waiting in the wings. Austin Dilks in fifth ahead of Max Keats and Henry Cooper, then Charlie Bunn, Freddie Taylor and Randy Carter rounding out the top 10. Time for the final race of our opening programme from Teesside. It's the Ohvale Cup for the Mini GP 110 category. Pole position, Parker Jazari looking very strong all the way through the weekend so far. Max Robinson alongside him on the front row. Caden Herring and Leo Soliu are going to be ones to watch from the second row though. Keen Daly and Leon Simpson from Ella Mosgrove and Austin Wilton. Then Mason Hams and Jasper O'Neill White in the top 10. Completing this grid of 12, Daniel Tanton and Thomas Med. We may not have vast quantity, but we definitely have superior quality in this field of Ohvale 110s. Off we go. Oh, hang on a minute. Without Austin Wilton. That's a big disaster, stalling the bike on the grid. Hopefully he'll be able to get that going again, which he does. But at the back of the field, out into the lead goes Jazari. Herring has shot through from the second row of the grid. Then it looks to me like it's Simpson in front of Soliu. So Max Robinson has had a very difficult start. Yeah, very not good at all. Down to about 5th or 6th position with Kean Daly trying to hustle his way through. So miserable getaway for Max Robinson. Perfect launch for Caden Herring, right in behind Parker Jazari.
Yeah, Parker Jazari's got a lot of quality. We know that. Seen him at Wigan last year, Jake. And he's got a comfortable lead here early on in this one. So he come off Bob Pope straight through the Wiggles and towards hairpin 1, which will lead into hairpin 2. Which will lead him out onto the back straight here. So that's hairpin 2 onto the back straight towards South Bank for the first time. That is Parker Jazari pictured on screen.
So Jazari leading the way from Herring, Simpson, Soliu. Hopefully Max Robinson can just about get himself back into this fight with Daly, Mosgrove and Tanton going very well indeed as they continue on their way through. Out through hairpin 4, continuing on the charge. They'll come out of the dogleg up to the D chicane and then they'll charge their way through Paddock Bend. We can go for the longer configuration of the circuit here now because we're on the 110s. So the older riders, of course, in this category, the age of 8 to 13 in this particular category, although they actually switch at the age of 13.
Max Robinson back up to 3rd place, so Max made a poor start. He was down to 5th, I think, after the start last time on that first lap, but made up a couple of places there to get back into 3rd. This will not be in the script though for Max. He would have hoped to be at least challenging Parker Jazari for the lead here, but in 3rd place with plenty of work to do.
There's still time for him to go after Caden Herring, who's definitely picked up the pieces from the start. There's only 7/10 of a second between them at the end of the lap. Soliu there in 4th, Simpson, Daly, Mosgrove and Tanton as they go through the Wiggles. That decision was definitely taken by the Roy Walker of circuit design, wasn't it? Say what you see. That's why they called it the Wiggles. Caden Herring, though, P2, the young lad from Suffolk, trying to stay in front of Max Robinson, who is definitely regrouped and got himself back together here behind Caden Herring. Through South Bank, up to hairpin 3 and hairpin 4. Continuing on this very tough apex of the course here. It's so difficult because you've come straight out of a real flat out hairpin where you're really leaning on the edge of what the bike can do. Then you've got to slow it down. You've almost got to tippy toe through hairpin 3 and 4. You've got to be so delicate and so balanced on the throttle. Then you can charge your way through these faster leans. It is a very tough part of the course, this. I've always felt that Teesside Autodrome very underrated as a race circuit in the UK. Really does teach these riders everything they need to know about balance, about poise, about discipline, about racecraft.
Robinson has gone through there in 3rd place. He's from County Antrim. Leo Soliu from Lincolnshire. There in P4. In P5 it is Leon Simpson and then Keen Daly. That's where we think that is pronounced. Anyway, we've done our research.
Here comes the bid potentially for 2nd place. This is going to be very tricky for Max Robinson. Caden Herring is there. Is that they've swapped over, haven't they? Robinson's got through. He has got through. So Robinson there in front of Caden Herring. So that is a change for 2nd position. Caden Herring definitely now in 3rd place. And there in the background is Leo Soliu, who thinks, right, he is overtakeable. I can make that work. I'm going to get into 3rd place as soon as I can. But I've got to catch him first. So this is going to be tricky. Herring again trying to take on Robinson. This is a very strong comeback from Max Robinson after that initial difficult launch. For him to have the strength of will and the confidence in himself to say, okay, that was a bit of a blip. We're going to come back at this. We're going to charge our way further forward. We're going to make this work. We are going to come back at this. And he's got himself in a second position and done a very good job of fending off after the battles with Herring and Soliu. This is great racing.
Later in the race, Parker Jazari, after one lap, had a 1.7 second lead. 2 laps, 2.6. That looks like a change.
It is. It's Soliu. Soliu's made the move on Robinson. And these three are having an absolute rout as they go through the traffic. Soliu, Robinson, Herring, they are having a terrific duel for third position. Jazari's long gone. And these three are absolutely out for blood. This is great racing between the three of them. And it's all going to be about momentum and confidence now, with Soliu up to second past Robinson. Caden Herring is still there or thereabouts as they go down the bar pipe straight, and that is a change again. Robinson's got a better run off of the reverse corkscrew and charged down the Bob Pope straight and got back into second place. Great run. This is really great racing.
Great battling out of hairpin 2 onto the back straight here. South Bank is the big sweeping right-hander here. Parker Jazari, after the end of the last lap, which was 6 laps in, 5 seconds in front. These two having an almighty scrap here. Max Robinson will not like the fact that he had a poor start, and that's basically impacted his chance to win this race. But I'm not sure anybody would have beaten Parker Jazari on this performance. Now, these guys are going to have to make some changes to the bike if they're going to get close to him for race 2.
Watch Leo Soliu, where he's positioning the bike. He's trying to do a Marshall Mathers here. He's trying to be Eminem round the outside. He's looking for every opportunity to try and make it work. Parker Jazari, long gone. He's extended the gap again. He was almost a second quicker than Robinson and Soliu on that last lap to pull out another second. At this level, that is absolutely extraordinary. Here comes Soliu. He's going to try and go slow in, fast out. He wants to move down the Bob Pope straight. Robinson's got to place the bike in the middle of the road. Through wiggles. Careful, lads. Watch for the chance up into the first hairpin. Soliu's got to plant the bike nicely out, hopefully trying to go slow in, fast out. But he finds that Max Robinson is very crafty in the middle of the road. You're not going to get through him easily. Down the back straight. Up to South Bank. Now watch Soliu. Look, he takes a much wider line on Robinson, but Robinson's crafty. He's wise to it. He then pulls across. Oh, he's left the door open. Soliu's going to get him. Absolutely brilliant from Leo Soliu. Absolutely storms in. He reads the situation well, comes from the outside, waits till Robinson pulls across him and says, I sold you the dummy. Brilliant move from Soliu.
8 laps gone, 2 to go, I think it is, as they go across the line. 2 laps remaining, it is. Out of the S's, the D through the left-hander. It is effectively turn 1 after the start. And down to the right-hander here. That's an opportunity if you can get close enough, but not quite close enough is Max Robinson.
Soliu holding on to this second place, but there's plenty of opportunities to let it slip. He does not want to lose this ground. So here they come again. Look at Parker Jazari, he's just disappeared out front. He's in a different postcode, never mind in the lead of the race. And here comes Robinson, all over Soliu, through wiggles, up to hairpin 1 again, 2 to go, and he knows he's running out of chances, but he knows where he's strong, so he can use that to his advantage. He's the chaser, he's the hunter. Now the boot is on the other foot. So down the back straight, as Leo Soliu got an issue. He was looking down at the bike there, trying to see if there was something he could adjust. And that's given Max Robinson a little bit more of a momentum. Soliu developing an issue? Well, he's just about got time to get to the finish line before it becomes a problem if Lady Luck is on his side. But Soliu has got to hang on here from Max Robinson, and going into the last lap, Robinson will be relentless to try and get into second place. Here we go. Last lap here at Teesside. Soliu, Robinson. Fastest lap of the race from Leo Soliu. Well, whatever he was adjusting, it worked. He's gone far quicker than Parker Jazari did on the last lap. He's gained about 7/10 in 1 lap by going the fastest out there. And that's important because the fastest lap of the race will put him in pole position for race 2. So that's a big moment for Soliu.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the way the race 2s are decided. That will be coming up in the next programme, by the way. This is the last race in this programme, but it's all on for second. Parker Jazari, unless he dumps it on the ground, is going to take the win. But who's going to come second?
This is so tight. Robinson seeking seeking here, seeking there, looking for a line on the inside. Leo Soliu says, come and have a go if you think you're hard enough. Out of hairpin 2, down the back straight, and up to South Bank. Robertson goes long, goes wide. They go side by side to South Bank, well covered by Soliu. Robertson has another chance or two. Down to the inside. Soliu has a wide line. He will not let Robertson through. Now he's got one final chance into the hairpin. No way, sirree. I've got this. Parker Cesari is going to take the win out front. He gets it. Absolutely dominant ride. But out in second, it is just Leo Soliu who hangs on in front of Max Robinson. That was proper racing from these two brilliant riders. So much lean angle, so much confidence and determination. What a race. Parker Cesari leads it out, but with the fastest lap, Leo Soliu will be in pole position for race 2, ahead of Robinson, Caden Herring, Cian Daly, Simpson, Mosgrove, Wilton, Med and Tanton. That's it for Programme 1. We'll be back in the second half with more great racing from Teesside, and we'll start with race 2 of the 1 Ton Ohvale Cup. See you very soon.